Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode where we're going to be looking at the pages from the book of Judges. We began the story of Gideon last time, and he had an encounter with the angel of the Lord, and this picks up straight after that, as it says, the same night. So it's the same night, and I've drawn Gideon here praying, and God speaks to him and tells him to go and take the bull and go and cut down the Asherah poles. So remember in the last scene, he's really scared. He's sort of like, I'm nobody and I'm weak and I'm nothing. And then God obviously he has this encounter with the angel, and the angel kind of commissions him, but he's still scared and stuff at this point. And God gives him a challenge, and he says, "Right, go and cut down the Asherah poles." And then in the end, because he's still kind of scared, he goes at night time. Although, to be fair, it could be taken in either way, because it's like God gives him the commission at night, and then he goes at night. So perhaps he doesn't delay, and he's really fast. But most people, when they look at this, they say, okay, well, he obeys, but he goes at night when nobody's going to stop him or be there to complain or whatever. So he comes out. He gathers some dudes, his father's servants, 10 servants, and he says, and they did as he had spoken to them. They go. They take the ox, they go to the bales and their Asherah poles, and they hack them down and pull them down and destroy them. And then let me get that on the screen for you. It says, because he feared his father's household and the men of the city, he could not do it in the day, but he did it at night. So it's explicit in the text. So in the picture here, you can see he's still scared. They've done the deed, and this young guy's kind of encouraged, yeah, we did it. He's like, oh my goodness. And they burn the bull on the altar as well. So you can see it there. Then the people of the town find out. And it says, when the men of the city arose early in the morning, and then they said, who has done this? Behold, the altar of Baal is broken down, and the Asherah was cut down. And the second bull was offered on the altar, and so they seem to have figured out what's going on. But as you can see, all these Canaanites, they've got their Canaanite garb. Some of them have no tops, but they have these wraparound sarongs, and there's all the different people. They find out what happened, and so here I've drawn a little old lady stobbing them in, and they put together like a posse, and they go to get him basically. This dude, you can see, he is an example of several of the things that it says in Leviticus that people shouldn't do. In Leviticus it gives the Israelites a bunch of laws, but it concludes with saying don't do these things that the people around you do. And so one of them's having tattoos, one of them's cutting yourself, another one is cutting. One of the theories about cutting the corner of your hair on your head or whatever. So today Jews have the is it peyot? I think the long bits there, and that's how they are trying to do that commandment. But it's believed that people would cut right back their hair when they're mourning or for religious reasons. So this guy has a hairstyle like that. Okay, and then they've got their stones. They're going to go and stone Gideon basically, and they come to Gideon's house, and at his house is where his father lives. His father, from whom he stole the cattle. So, you're like, oh, could it go either way? They knock on the door and they say, bring out your son so that he may die. He's broken down the altars. But Joash here is a classic, he's very clever. So he doesn't want to resist them exactly, but he doesn't he doesn't want to just say no, get away, and shut the door on them, because they'll just knock the door down and everything. But he uses his words and he says, will you contend for Baal, or will you save him? He who will contend for him, let him be put to death by morning. Is he a god? Let him contend for himself, because someone has broken down his altar. So he says, surely Baal could defend himself if he's a real god. So that puts them in their place, and I've got one of them here saying, let Baal contend for him, because he has broken down his altar. So he's sort of agreeing. They're saying, all right, fine, we'll see what happens. This picture of Joash actually is the face is provided by one of the backers who has backed the Kickstarter. We have the option to have yourself drawn into a comic as a minor part, and this was somebody who's the father of one of my friends who backed the project, and but he fits really well for this role. Okay, now let's go on to the next bit. Then the Midianites turn up in force. So it says, then all the Midianites and the Amalekites and the children of the east assembled themselves together, passed over and encamped in the Jezreel Valley. In this image, you can see the Midianites, but also the map in the background, which is kind of faded in the sky. There's a kind of grey and red arrow that's going across. So this is so they're coming from the east, and you can see that all the lines are converging together because they're all different clans and stuff, but they become one unit. And then I've also got the maps with all the roads and stuff where I'm crossing points, so that's why the line's not just a complete straight line. I tried to draw it where I think they probably use the roads to get around, and they come to the Jezreel Valley at the end, so the arrow where it says the Megiddo on the left, that's where they stop. And it's also the same place where Deborah fought against Sisera, in the Jezreel Valley. You can see all these Midianites then on their camels, and you can see in a way how using the camels in this way, which I got from a statue. I was trying to find the image of it for you, but I couldn't find it. But it's a bit like a chariot, where you've got one person who's basically driving the camel, and they have some melee weapons to fend off infantry. And then you've got in the back, you've got a dude with a bow, so they can quickly ride around and shoot at stuff and withdraw before any infantry can get to them and stuff. And so it's a lot like a chariot. Then this image then tries to convey the great number of them. Then this is the turning point for Gideon. So he did the other cutting down the Shura poles as a while he was still scared and like he is. But at this point it says, but God's Spirit came on Gideon. Now from this point in the story, basically Gideon mans up and becomes a real leader and brave and that sort of thing. He still has doubts, but essentially it's a big turning point for Gideon. So he blew the trumpet, and they gathered together to follow him. Then he sent the messengers throughout Manasseh and gathered them together, and to Zebulun, Naphtali, and Asher, and they came to meet him. And so in the image you can see the leaders of these tribes. So there's Asher on the left, and he's got again the staff of the steward or whatever that we heard about in the Deborah song. They all actually have, so you can see that each one's got their sort of staff. And Gideon here has his threshing stick, and he's saying, So the idea is he's saying, like, I saw an angel and I was threshing corn. He's telling them a story about what happened in his tent. Then he prays. This is this is where Gideon has that moment, a wobble. He's like, oh, actually, has God really said? And he decides to do this very famous putting out the fleece. And so he prays that he'll put out the fleece on the threshing floor, which is just a really flat place. And if it's wet in the morning but the ground's dry, he'll know that God is with him. So he does it, and the threshing floor, that's what we were talking about last time with the threshing and the winnowing. And so normally they would thresh the corn on the threshing floor and winnow it and here. So it's a big flat area. As you can see, it's like a circle. And that's because when you throw the corn up and down, you want to then be able to pick it up. I say corn, I mean like wheat, the chaff goes away, but obviously if you did it on grass or something, it would it'd be lost. So that's why you have a special threshing floor. Here then he in the morning he finds the fleece, and it has the water in it, and I've drawn it such that it's got lots and lots and lots of water in it, so it's a very clear sign. But in this image on the left, you can see that he's like, but hold on a minute, wool absorbs water, and if the sun came out and evaporated all the water, of course the wool would still be wet and the floor would be dry. So actually this isn't a sign at all. So he realizes this. It is a sign. God has fulfilled what he said, and actually he should have just taken it. But he's like, logically, like this could be nothing. So then he does it again. He says, oh, Lord, don't be angry with me, but basically I messed up my sign that I was praying for, and I want to do it again. But this time, can you make it so the ground's really wet, but the fleece is dry? So that would be a miracle. So he does so, and it happens. And so then he knows. So in that last image, you can see that he's happy because he knows that, God is actually with him and everything. Now, we're going to conclude it there. We'll come back next time, and as he begins to basically battle against the Midianites and have his forces stripped down. I hope you've enjoyed this one. If you do, like and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.